Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Lead Pitch Live. We're here at the North Law Firm, one of America's great law firms, and we're so thrilled to have here another one of America's great individuals, and certainly to be one of America's great banks. We have here the president and CEO of Gulf Coast Business Bank, my good friend, over 25 years. Bill Blevins is here. Bill, let me bump you into the show.
Cheers.
I love telling people that, Bill. That makes me famous. I knew you 25 years ago when you had jet black hair. But one of the things I remember about you so much, Bill, is that you were always a go-getter. So I want to say that on television. You were a go-getter, so it did not surprise me when I was reading in the newspaper some years ago, you can tell me how long it was ago, that was announced that a new bank was coming into town. You were the president and the CEO, and all that was coming into fruition. How long ago was that I read that?
So we started talking about Gulf Coast Business Bank probably in March of 2021.
Okay, so it's a process.
Yep.
And now that process has gone full circle. Now Gulf Coast Business Bank is up and running.
Yep. So we raised a little less than $24 million in capital, got approved by the regulators in November, raised the capital in April of 2022, and opened up in June of 2022 at our location, northeast corner of Crystal and Metro Drive.
I've done over 25,000 interviews over 32 years. I have never had a person on the show who was a part of starting a bank. Tell me about just the idea of starting a bank. How did that come to fruition?
So it's always been one of my dreams and goals, and back in 2011, and when I sat down and talked to my colleagues about it, I put an action plan, what I needed to do to make it happen. And the key to my success is just surrounding myself with great people.
Okay.
Because I'm never going to be the smartest guy in the room. I just surround myself with people that are, and I put together a great board, a great group of organizers. And it's definitely a process to go through, but in the long term, I think it's going to be a great benefit to the community.
Just the whole idea of having more community banks in the area. You and I came up in banking together. You might have gotten in. What year did you first start in banking? I started like 1985.
I was 86.
Okay, so we were right.
Close.
Then eventually we ended up in the same company, First Union.
Yep.
And then you went your way, I went my way, but I bumped into you in the gym. And then next thing I look up, you're a CEO at a bank. But the community banks, they are the fabric of a community. Why is that?
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest thing, is that in Lee County, there's really two community banks left besides Gulf Coast Business Bank. There's Edison, does a great job, and there's Sanibel Captiva. In Collier County, there are no more community banks. The last one sold. Why is it important? Is because you'll sit down face to face with a community banker and make that decision. We're not going to typically put you in a credit box and credit score you and then send you out of the state to get, like in Charlotte or New York or out to California and make that decision. You're going to have local people that understand your business and try to help you get ahead, because we've done business with you before. And in my mind, if a client survived 8, 9, and 10, that recession, I don't need to teach them anything about banking. They learned PhD from getting through those years.
You're servicing all your loans as well? You're servicing everything locally for the average person to understand what servicing means. And this me and you being banker to banker, and we're going to break it down for people. When you say, hey, you're servicing all your loans, you're keeping everything in-house, tell them what that means.
Okay, so by servicing, we don't sell them off. Now on the residential side, we do have right now we are selling them off to the secondary market through Rocket or Quicken or Flagstar, different mortgage companies that we work with to sell those off. But all of our commercial loans, when we make them, we keep them in-house.
Business loans.
And they're all business loans. And so we do an annual servicing for every business client, that we get annual financial statements and check and see how they're doing, for lines of credit, equipment financing, for SBA, for any type of income property or owner occupied.
I'm glad you mentioned residential, because when I look at the name of the bank, Gulf Coast Business Bank, and when you injected that word residential, go.
Okay, so we started the bank to focus on the business clientele. Why is that? Is because there's a lot of compliance when you get into the consumer lending side, and there's a lot of competition out there. So our focus was to take care of the business clientele. We have some great personal products that are kind of above and beyond what you would normally get, like a checking product that pays 3.5%, but unlimited check writing or debit cards, right? We have great personal deposit products, but on the consumer side, all we do right now is the residential lending that's sold off to the secondary market.
I see. Do you work with SBA and those types of people as well?
Yes, we are an SBA approved lender, and so we work with SBA. We do USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. So any of those type of loans, and they're great programs that are out there that helps businesses. They might have the cash flow and the management experience, but they don't have the collateral to typically back up a loan. And the SBA gives us a 75% guarantee on that loan. So a bank is willing to say, okay, I'll make a loan that's mainly cash flow oriented, doesn't have a lot of secondary source, but with that guarantee, we can make it happen for the client.
What type of business loan products you provide? Lines of credit, et cetera? Continue.
Sure. So we do lines of credit. We do equipment financing.
Floor plans?
No, we don't do floor plans because that's kind of
That's me trying to show off, let people know I know about banking. They don't know what a floor plan is, but that's the car dealership
that's
people.
That's a car or a boat dealership.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's kind of specialties. We're not in that. We could do a line of credit against a building that a boat dealer or a car dealer could use for floor plan, but we typically aren't in that specific line of business. But income property, we do that. We do some investment property, apartments or duplexes, triplexes. We've got a foreign national program for folks that might be coming into the market and trying to buy some real estate, but they don't have their green card. So as long as they put 50% down, we could probably make a transaction work for them.
I'm glad you mentioned income properties because people need to understand that at a certain level, depending on the number of units, residential turns into commercial business. Go ahead and explain that to them.
Yeah, typically it's over 4 units is when it jumps into the commercial side. And then it's also depending on how it's titled. So if it's a primary or secondary resident, right now, for a residential, we would sell that off to the secondary market. But if somebody basically had that and it wasn't their primary or secondary resident investment property, we could do it and they could put it into an LLC, a partnership, or a trust, and we could portfolio that loan. By portfolio, that means we keep the servicing, we keep it on our books.
You're right here in the heart of the action here in the Fort Myers, Southwest Florida area. Do you consider your territory Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, or even a bigger footprint?
So as part of the application process, your market is determined right now by where you have a depository taking institution. So our primary market is Lee County. We've got a loan production office in Collier County right now, and we've added a full service deposit taking ATM that will start taking deposits probably in February. Why is that important? Well, because there's a rule out there called Community Reinvestment Act, which makes sure that 51% of the loans that you make are in that community where you gather deposits. So right now, it's just Lee, but probably by the end of February, it will be Lee and Collier. That gives us the ability to make loans outside of those markets. And primarily, I tell our colleagues, it's a tank of gas. If you have somebody that's local here, could we follow them up to Charlotte, Sarasota, Manatee? Sure.
Less than a tank, depending on the car. I pose that question that you're in the heart of the economy, doing what you do. How are we doing, just in general, when you're looking out there in Lee County area? Is it a growing, active economy, opportunities there for businesses to continue to expand, franchises and things of that nature? Is this a hot market?
I feel it's still very strong market, even though the rising interest rates has obviously dampened the housing market and made affordability an issue. As much damage as the hurricane did, it kind of gave a blessing to Southwest Florida from the amount of insurance money and FEMA money that's flowing in, because it's going to take years before we can rebuild, Fort Myers Beach or Sanibel, Captiva. So from that perspective, there's certain industries that are doing very well. If you talk to anybody in the construction trade, it's still very hard to find somebody to come out and do your roof. And other aspects of it. Housing sales have come down, obviously, because of the interest rate, and affordability is also a big issue. But we're pretty bullish on Southwest Florida. And I think the difference is we make our decisions on overall the economy based on a local board of directors. We're not making those decisions like some banks that are out of the market.
You said that you're making things local. One of my questions was going to be is how are you different from other banks? I'm sure that's one of them, but continue.
Sure. So probably the biggest difference, and obviously the local decision making is very important because, if we get to understand you as a business owner, we'll probably give you more of a benefit of the doubt by knowing you individually and then looking at your numbers, as opposed to some institutions that when they underwrite, they just look at the numbers. But we'll bring the underwriting team to meet you and go through your business. So you're meeting with the lender and the team that's going to make the credit decision. That's probably the biggest thing. And then obviously, we pride ourselves on taking care of our colleagues that then take care of our clients, that then take care of our shareholders. And that's really important because we don't want you to come into the bank and then every 90 days you're seeing a new face, or we're asking, for 3 forms of ID or giving you a fingerprint check, because we know who you are.
That leads me to this. Like right here, I'm sitting with you. I feel like I'm talking to a guy at the kitchen table, the boy next door, that personal touch. Does that permeate throughout Gulf Coast Business Bank?
Yeah, that's pretty much, I think, what we try to do is take care of we take care of our colleagues, then they'll take care of the clients, as long as and then we take, obviously down the road, we take care of our shareholders in that process. And each one of my colleagues knows that that's what we need to do. Take care of that client, manage the risk. Those are 2 basic things in banking. And I think we do a really good job on a local level.
Where are you physically located for the viewers to know where your branch is?
Okay, so we're right off of Crystal and Metro, basically the northeast corner in Fort Myers, Metro Parkway.
Okay, good area to be in too as well.
Great. Metro Parkway's got a ton of businesses, but we're not afraid to go to Cape Coral, Collier County. We've got a loan production office down there. Charlotte County, we basically, and we pride ourselves and we like to go to the business owner's location because that's how you get to know about the business.
You mentioned shareholders several times, shareholder base. Talk about that.
Sure. When we raised the $23.6 million, I would say 75% of those funds are local. Well, how is that? Well, I'd say 50% of our shareholders are in Lee County, about 25% in Collier, and same makeup as the board. The board is probably 1/3 Collier County, 2/3 Lee. And that's important. We have 270 shareholders. We don't have anybody that has over 5% ownership. Why is that important? Whenever you get private equity groups that take an ownership in a bank, you can set your clock that they say 7 to 10 years they want their money back. What they really mean is they want it back in 5 to 7. So if you grab private equity ownership to help you raise capital, write it down on the calendar, 7 years, I'm almost sure that bank's going to be sold.
But you're still open for more shareholders in that sense, so you're not publicly traded in that way, right?
No, we actually right now, we are planning on probably raising some additional capital at the end of 2005, maybe 2006.
Okay.
Right now it's going to be with our existing shareholders. But, we do have people that want to buy or sell stock, and we put them in touch with our CFO.
Are you into expansion mode as you look into the future? You just mentioned where your branch is. Now with technology, is it important to still have brick and mortar?
It is, but you don't need a bunch of brick and mortar. So our model is asset light, great technology. So 1 location in Fort Myers, 2nd location will be in Collier County, probably sometime at the end of 2025. And then 2-3 years down the road, we'd like to expand another one in Cape Coral.
And as you continue to control your bottom line, you're able to pass that type of cost savings onto your consumer. Off camera, you were talking to me about some of the fees that you do not charge that other people do charge. Please expound on it, if you will.
Sure. And our focus is taking care of the business clientele. with great treasury services so that they feel like they can do any type of banking, either coming to us or do it on their computer or do it on their phone. So we've got the fraud prevention services, we've got remote deposit capture, all of the services that you would typically get from a regional or another community bank here in town, we have those available. So if you want to bank however you want to bank, we'll set you up with that technology. Mm-hmm. And we look at those services as a way to bring businesses in. And we're not going to be a bank that'll charge you $500 a month like some of the larger institutions do. We feel like we're going to give you a good value, and we're willing to do a comparison analysis of what it costs to bank with Bank X versus what it costs with Gulf Coast Business Bank.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I know even from knowing you when we were younger, I had hair and you had black hair, that you still are community oriented. As a community bank, business bank, how is your bank able to be involved in the community in various ways?
Yeah, so one of the ways we try to do it is, how do you decide, Lee, what's more important, the American Cancer Society or the Heart Association? Both great organizations, right? What we try to do is have our money follow our colleagues. So if we have a colleague that's passionate about an organization, then we're going to put our money after that. And obviously, we try to do local events. Like we've decided this year we're going to do a float in the Edison Parade to try to get a little bit more public awareness. Mm-hmm. I like to go out and talk to anybody who would like to hear about how you set up dreams and goals, because mm-hmm. I'm a big believer in taking a dream and making it a goal is just writing it down, putting a date on it, and an action plan. Mm-hmm. So we do that, and we feel like we're a big believer in giving back to the community with United Way and other organizations.
As a friend of yours, I'm going to tell you there's another big parade, and I think you could get excited about. It's the Dunbar Easter Parade.
Okay.
Put your float in there. I'll get you in touch with the people.
Perfect.
You will be the first bank to be in the Dunbar Easter Parade. Thousands of people lined up along the street.
All
We're
right.
going to make that happen. Or Joe Norfolk, he's always the leader in the parade.
That would be awesome.
Yes, I know you will get that done.
Sure.
Take that same float, put it in the Dunbar Easter Parade. You're out there educating people. I don't know if I need to call you the eminent professor at Florida Gulf Coast, but go ahead and tell people about the class you're teaching.
Yeah, one of my actually triathlete training partners is a professor at Florida Gulf Coast University, Dr. Ashley Manderville, and she does a marketing program there. And once a year, I come in and do a little conversation with the class, juniors and seniors, about how you can set up their dreams and goals. And Lee, I'll show them a personal financial statement from February of 1988, like a year after I came into Southwest Florida in '87, and show them some of the mistakes that I made when.
Really?
Yeah, it's a yellow laminated one. I make a copy of it. I hand it out to the students, and I talk to them. Probably the most important lesson, if I could teach anybody, is the time value of money. And most people don't really start putting away money until their 30s and 40s, and they've lost that 10-year window, which is so crucial, about that. And I enjoy that part of trying to help people realize their dreams and goals. And our mantra is focused on your dreams and goals. Mm-hmm. And we're pretty serious trying to help people.
What has been the response from some of the students to your class?
Well, it's interesting. The ones that should do it the most don't, right? But I truly believe afterwards I always have somebody, out of a class of 30, I'll probably have 5 or 7 say, could I sit down with you and
Really?
talk to you about that? So I enjoy that, and I'm going to help out sometime this year in a mentor program at FGCU, which I recommend for any business owners, that know how to start a business. They get involved in the mentor program, because just like you doing your own thing, leaving the bank, I now have an appreciation for what it takes for like a person like Joe North to,
Right.
Start his own firm, you to start your own business.
Yeah, Leapits Enterprises.
Yep. And, how are you going to make payroll? In banking, there's a lot more regulations. How am I going to get the capital? Where am I going to get the people? How do I keep the good people? All those things that go through a business owner, most bankers don't understand that. We do, and definitely it makes a difference.
I want to get you out of here, but I got this one question based on some of the things that you just said, and I never asked that question in this interview, is what size loans do you do the minimum and the maximum. You're interested in smaller, so-called smaller loans
Sure.
and larger loans?
Yeah, typically, you know, I would tell folks probably 50,000 would be kind of a small loan, and then obviously our legal lending limit right now is about 4 million. So
Ooh.
we partner with other banks, Sanibel,
Participations.
Captiva, to do deals up to $10 million or more in the community. But you know, we try to definitely help out folks, and then what we also try to do is, if there might be a way that we can't do a business right now, we also try to give them an alternative. So that here's what you need to do, or here's the solutions, or go see our folks at FGCU, Small Business Development Center. Great program to help businesses put their plans together and, you know, start making you a bankable business.
Let's give a website and a phone number. People can get in touch with you for more information.
Sure. The website is going to be www.gcbbswfl.com, right? And the phone number is 239-306-8635. That's my number. You can call me and I'll put you in touch with somebody.
Okay. You don't have to struggle with remembering that number, CEO. Bill, it's been a pleasure having the show.
I thank you very much.
Look forward to getting you back in the future. And stay right there. As the saying goes on this particular show, for those who say it can't be done, they're usually interrupted by those like this fine CEO and president of Gulf Coast Business Bank, Bill Blevins. And remember, Miami might have the oranges, but Gulf Coast Business Bank has got
We got the juice.
They got the juice. We'll see you.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello, everybody. This is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show. And if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Watch Lee Pitts Live on demand anytime. And also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live, and there you go.